The savory aroma of garlic and herbs wafted through the air as Max Hartley pulled another perfectly crisp flatbread from the wood-fired oven. He inhaled deeply, savoring the scent that had become as familiar to him as his own heartbeat. The bustling atmosphere of Nova Vista, a trendy coastal city he'd called home for the past 5 years, drifted in through the open windows of his modest restaurant, Cosmic Crust. Max's skilled hands moved with practiced efficiency, sliding the steaming flatbread onto a serving board. He glanced at the clock. 7:30 p.m. on a warm Friday evening. Another night, another wave of hungry locals and tourists. It wasn't that he didn't love his work. The satisfaction of creating something delicious never got old. But lately, a gnawing restlessness had taken root in his chest, a yearning for something more that even the perfect margarita couldn't quite satisfy. The bell above the door chimed, pulling Max out of his reverie. He looked up, expecting to see the usual crowd of sunburned beachgoers or local regulars. Instead, his jaw nearly hit the floor. 3 figures stood in the doorway, but the word people seemed inadequate to describe them. Their skin shimmered with an otherworldly, opalescent sheen that shifted colors in the fading sunlight. Flowing, diaphanous robes draped over forms that were distinctly alien, yet undeniably graceful. But it was their eyes that truly captured Max's attention, large, luminous, and filled with an intelligence that seemed to look right through him. The restaurant fell silent in an instant. Customers froze with forks midway to their mouths. Someone dropped a glass, the shatter echoing through the room. A little boy at the nearest table began to giggle nervously, tugging at his mother's sleeve and pointing. The tallest of the trio stepped forward, her hair resembling spun starlight cascading down her back. "Greetings," she said, her voice musical and slightly accented. "I am Ambassador Alara of the Celestial Harmony. These are my aides, Nova and Lyra." She gestured to her companions, one with hair like liquid silver, the other with tresses that shimmered between shades of deep purple and indigo. Max blinked, realizing he had been staring. He cleared his throat, struggling to regain his composure. "Oh, welcome to Cosmic Crust. I'm Max Hartley." Ilara's lips curved into a smile that made Max's heart skip a beat. "We have traveled far, Max Hartley, and word of your establishment's reputation has reached even our distant world. What would you recommend to satisfy our curiosity about Earth cuisine?" Max's professional pride kicked in, momentarily overriding his awe. "Well, you're in luck," he said, some of his usual charm returning. "I've got a house specialty that's out of this world." He winced slightly at the unintended pun. "How about you try my famous Stellar Fusion flatbread?" Nova, the silver-haired aide, tilted her head curiously. "Stellar Fusion. We are unfamiliar with this Earth delicacy." "Trust me," Max said with a wink, "you're in for a treat. Why don't you take a seat, and I'll bring it out when it's ready." As the alien visitors settled into a booth, Max retreated to the kitchen, his mind racing. He had seen plenty of unusual tourists in Nova Vista, but never anything like this. There was something about them, especially Ilara, that stirred feelings he thought he had long buried. Max threw himself into preparing the flatbread with renewed vigor. He carefully arranged a blend of Earth's finest ingredients: truffle-infused goat cheese, caramelized figs, prosciutto, and a drizzle of aged balsamic reduction. A sprinkle of his secret herb blend, a swirl of extra virgin olive oil, and into the oven it went. When he emerged from the kitchen, balancing the steaming creation on one hand, he found the alien visitors deep in conversation. They fell silent as he approached, all eyes fixed on the aromatic dish. "Here we are, ladies," Max said, setting the flatbread down with a flourish. "Enjoy." Ilara delicately picked up a slice, studying it with scientific curiosity. She took a small bite, and her eyes widened. "By the cosmic winds," she breathed. "This is extraordinary." Nova and Lyra followed suit, and soon all three were savoring the flatbread with unrestrained enthusiasm. Max watched, a mixture of pride and amusement warming his chest. Suddenly, the alien's eyes began to glow brighter. their skin taking on a more vibrant, pearlescent hue. They emitted a strange, melodic sound, like whale song, only higher and more harmonious. "Max Hartley," Ilara said between bites, her voice taking on a husky quality that sent a shiver down Max's spine. "You have truly created something magical here." "Oh, it's just a simple recipe," Max replied, suddenly feeling flushed. "Nothing too fancy." Lyra, who had been the quietest of the trio, fixed him with an intense gaze. "On the contrary, there is clearly great skill and passion in your craft. Tell us, are all Earth chefs such talented creators?" The way she said creators made Max feel like she meant something entirely different. He tugged at his collar, acutely aware of how all three visitors were now looking at him with undisguised interest. "Well, I can't speak for all Earth chefs," Max said, finding himself opening up, drawn in by their attention. "But I've always loved working with my hands, creating something that brings people joy." Ilara nodded, her expression softening. "A noble pursuit. On our world, we too understand the power of creation and nurturing, though our methods are somewhat different." "Different how?" Max asked, his curiosity piqued. The three visitors exchanged glances, a silent communication passing between them. Finally, Ilara spoke, her voice trembling with barely contained excitement. "Max, your culinary creation, it has awakened something incredible in us. On our planet, there is a legend of the taste of cosmic harmony, a dish so perfect that it can instantly forge connections across the stars. We thought it was just a myth, but now—" Nova leaned forward, her eyes shining with an unearthly light. "We have all experienced a profound connection to you, Max. Your creation has opened our minds in a way we never thought possible." Max's mouth went dry. He had dealt with flirtatious customers before, but this was on a whole different level. "Listen, I'm really glad you enjoyed the flatbread. But—" "Max Hartley," Ilara interrupted, her voice taking on an official tone. "As ambassador of the celestial harmony, I have the authority to make you an offer. One that could change your life, and potentially the course of intergalactic relations forever." The restaurant seemed to fade into the background, the noise dimming as Max found himself lost in Ilara's mesmerizing gaze. What kind of offer?" Ilara stood, her regal bearing commanding attention. Nova and Lyra flanked her, all three visitors radiating an aura of power and allure. "Max Hartley of Earth," Ilara intoned, her voice carrying through the now silent restaurant. "On behalf of the people of celestial harmony, and from the depths of our hearts, I formally invite you to share your culinary artistry with the galaxies. Your talents could forge new bonds between worlds, your creations a universal language of peace and understanding." Max's jaw dropped. He looked from Ilara to Nova to Lyra, searching for any sign that this was some kind of elaborate joke, but their expressions remained earnest, expectant. But how?" Max stammered. "I'm just a chef from a small Earth city. How could I possibly?" Lyra stepped forward, her indigo hair shimmering as she moved. "Your talents far exceed the boundaries of this small establishment, Max. We offer you the chance to expand your horizons beyond the stars, to bring joy and connection to beings across the cosmos." Max's head spun. This morning, he had been a restless chef in a coastal town. Now, he was being offered a chance to become an intergalactic culinary ambassador. It was too much to process. I don't know what to say," he managed, backing away slightly. "This is all happening so fast. I mean, we just met." Ilara's expression softened. "We understand this must be overwhelming for you, Max. Our ways are different from Earth's, but we assure you, our offer is sincere. We have traveled across the stars, searching for someone with the power to create, to nurture, to bring joy through their craft. And now we have found not just a great creator, but a man whose passion could change the course of galactic history." Max ran a hand through his hair, his mind racing. "But what about my restaurant? My life here in Nova Vista?" "You could have 100 restaurants across 100 worlds," Nova said, her eyes shining with excitement. Imagine spreading your culinary artistry across the cosmos, Max, and we would be by your side every step of the way, supporting and learning from you. The idea was tempting, Max had to admit, but doubt still nagged at him. And what about, well, everything else? My family, my friends, my whole life on Earth. Lyra stepped closer, her voice gentle. We offer you the chance for connections beyond anything you've known, Max. Free beings who would dedicate themselves to your growth and happiness, just as you would contribute to the growth and happiness of countless worlds through your craft. Max stared at the 3 alien visitors before him, his mind reeling. The bustling restaurant seemed to fade away, leaving only him and these otherworldly beings who had just offered him the universe. He'd opened his mouth, then closed it again, at a loss for words. Ilara stepped closer, her starlight hair shimmering. We understand this is overwhelming, Max. Take your time to consider our offer. The stars will wait. Just then, the bell over the door jangled. A frazzled-looking woman in a crisp suit burst in, brandishing a microphone. Max Hartley, I'm Jenna Chen from Galaxy News Network. Is it true you've been offered an intergalactic culinary ambassadorship by alien visitors? Max's eyes widened in alarm. How had word spread so fast? Before he could respond, more people began flooding into the restaurant. The flashes of cameras momentarily blinded him as reporters shouted questions. Mr. Hartley, how does it feel to be the first human chef to receive an offer from an alien civilization? Are you planning to leave Earth? What's the secret ingredient in your flatbread that captured alien taste buds? Max backed away, overwhelmed by the onslaught. Ilara stepped protectively in front of him, her voice ringing out with authority. Please, everyone, remain calm. This is a delicate diplomatic situation. We request privacy as Max considers this opportunity. But her words only seemed to incite more frenzy. People pressed closer, jostling for a better view of the aliens and the stunned chef. Enough. Max's shout cut through the chaos. He took a deep breath, forcing himself to project a calm he didn't feel. Look, I appreciate the interest, but this is still a business. If you're not here to order food, I'm going to have to ask you to leave. There were grumbles of disappointment, but the crowd slowly began to disperse. Max sagged with relief, only to tense again as a man in a dark suit approached. He flashed a badge. Agent Reyes, Department of Extraterrestrial Affairs. I'm going to need you to come with me, Mr. Hartley. The President would like a word. Max's jaw dropped. The President of the United States. Agent Reyes nodded curtly. This situation has significant diplomatic implications. Your presence is required immediately. Max looked helplessly at Ilara, Nova, and Lyra. Ilara gave him a reassuring smile. Go, Max. We will await your return. As Max was ushered out to a waiting black SUV, his head spun. Just hours ago, his biggest concern had been whether to try a new sauce recipe. Now, he was headed to speak with the leader of the free world about becoming an intergalactic culinary ambassador. Life, it seemed, had a way of serving up the unexpected, and for Max Hartley, master chef of cosmic crust, the most extraordinary dish was yet to come. The sleek government car whisked Max through the nighttime streets of Nova Vista, the familiar sights of his hometown blurring into a surreal tapestry. His mind raced, trying to process the evening's events. Alien visitors, cosmic connections, and now a summons from the President. It was almost too much to comprehend. Agent Reyes sat silently beside him, her face an unreadable mask. So, Max ventured, desperate to break the tension. Do you guys deal with a lot of, extraterrestrial dining situations? The agent's lips twitched in what might have been the ghost of a smile. You'd be surprised, Mr. Hartley, but this is certainly a first. Before Max could probe further, the car pulled up to a nondescript building. We'll conduct the video call from here, Reyes explained, ushering him inside. The next hour was a whirlwind of security checks and briefings. Max found himself seated before a large screen, facing none other than the President of the United States. Mr. Hartley, the president began, her tone grave. I understand you've had quite an evening. Max nodded, still somewhat shell-shocked. You could say that, Madam President. I'll be blunt. This situation presents both unprecedented opportunities and potential risks for our nation, for our entire planet. We need to understand exactly what these aliens are proposing, and we need your help to do it. Max took a deep breath, recounting his encounter with Ilara, Nova, and Lyra. As he spoke, he was struck by how surreal it all sounded, cosmic connections forged through flatbread, offers of intergalactic culinary adventures. The president listened intently, her brow furrowed. When Max finished, she leaned back, a thoughtful expression on her face. Mr. Hartley, I'm going to ask something rather unusual of you. We need you to continue engaging with these visitors. Learn more about their culture, their intentions. You've opened a unique channel of communication, and right now, you're our best hope for peaceful first contact. Max blinked, startled. Me, but I'm just a chef, not a diplomat. The president's eyes twinkled. Sometimes, Mr. Hartley, the best diplomacy happens over a good meal. You've already proven that your cooking can bridge the gap between worlds. Now, we need you to keep that connection alive. As Max left the building, his head spinning with the weight of his new responsibility, he found Ilara, Nova, and Lyra waiting for him. Is everything all right, Max? Ilara asked, concern evident in her luminous eyes. Max managed a smile. Yeah, just a lot to process. Listen, I was thinking, if you're interested, maybe I could show you more of Earth's cuisine. You know, a sort of cultural exchange. The aliens' faces lit up with excitement. We would be honored, Nova exclaimed. Over the next few days, Max threw himself into creating a gastronomic tour of Earth for his extraterrestrial guests. Each meal became a journey, not just of flavors, but of cultural understanding. He introduced them to the fiery spices of Indian curry, watching in amusement as their otherworldly skin flickered with bioluminescent patterns in response to the heat. Sushi became a lesson in the art of simplicity and balance, with Lyra particularly fascinated by the precision of the knife work. As they savored a rich Italian tiramisu, Ilara's eyes widened in wonder. This dessert, she mused, it's like tasting the concept of time itself, the aged coffee, the mellowed liquor, all suspended in creamy sweetness. Remarkable. Max found himself opening up to his alien guests, sharing stories of his culinary journey, his dreams, and his frustrations. In turn, they regaled him with tales of their home world, a place of crystal cities and bioluminescent forests, where art and science intertwined in ways he could scarcely imagine. One evening, as they enjoyed a simple meal of comfort food, Max's grandmother's chicken soup recipe, Laura fixed him with her intense gaze. Max, we've been wondering. On our world, the sharing of sustenance is deeply interconnected with the sharing of everything. Thoughts, emotions, even life forces. Is it not the same on Earth? Max chuckled nervously, suddenly very aware of the way all three aliens were looking at him. Well, we do say that food is the way to a person's heart, but it's usually more metaphorical. Nova tilted her head, her silver hair catching the light. Yet we felt such a profound connection through your creations. Surely you must sense it too. Before Max could formulate a response, a commotion outside caught their attention. He peered out the window to see a crowd gathering, many holding signs. Some read, "Welcome, space friends," while others, more concerningly, declared, "Humans only." Oh boy, Max muttered. I think our little culinary exchange has gotten some attention. Ilara moved to his side, her expression troubled. Your people seem divided about our presence. Max sighed. Change can be scary for some folks. But hey, if my cooking can bridge the gap between worlds, maybe it can help bring people together here too. An idea began to form in Max's mind. What if we invited people to join us? A sort of intergalactic potluck. Everyone brings a dish, we all share and learn about each other. The aliens exchanged glances, a silent communication passing between them. Finally, Ilara nodded. A communal sharing of sustenance and culture. Yes, this resonates with our ways. We will be honored to participate. The next few days were a flurry of activity as Max worked with local officials to organize the event. The response was overwhelming. It seemed everyone in Nova Vista wanted a chance to dine with the alien visitors. On the day of the potluck, the town square was transformed. Tables groaned under the weight of dishes from every corner of the globe. The air was filled with a cacophony of enticing aromas and excited chatter. As twilight fell, Max stood before the gathered crowd, Ilara, Nova, and Lyra at his side. He cleared his throat nervously. Friends, neighbors, honored guests, tonight we come together to share not just food, but understanding. In breaking bread together, we break down the barriers between us. So let's eat, drink, and show the universe that Earth knows how to throw one heck of a dinner party. The crowd cheered, and the feast began. Max watched in wonder as humans and aliens alike sampled dishes, exchanged stories, and gradually, tentatively, began to connect. As the night wore on, Ilara approached Max, her eyes shimmering with emotion. "Max Hartley," she said softly, "I believe we have underestimated the power of your world's cuisine and the spirit of your people. This sharing of food and culture, it's not so different from our deepest rituals of connection." Max felt a warmth spread through his chest that had nothing to do with the spicy Thai curry he'd just sampled. "Well," he said with a grin, "they do say the quickest way to someone's heart is through their stomach." Ilara's laughter was like music. "Perhaps, Max Hartley, your human sayings contain more cosmic truth than you realize." As Max looked out over the joyous gathering, he felt a sense of possibility he'd never known before. The universe suddenly seemed vast with potential, and he, armed with nothing more than a chef's knife and a passion for bringing people together, found himself at the center of it all. Little did he know, this was just the appetizer. The main course of his cosmic culinary adventure was yet to come. The success of the intergalactic potluck reverberated far beyond the borders of Nova Vista. News outlets across the globe buzzed with stories of the small coastal town where humans and aliens had broken bread together. Social media exploded with images of Ilara, Nova, and Lyra sampling everything from hot dogs to haggis, their reactions a mix of delight and occasional comedic bewilderment. For Max, the days following the event were a whirlwind. His phone rang incessantly with interview requests, and Cosmic Crust was suddenly booked solid for months. But amidst the chaos, he found moments of quiet connection with his alien guests, their culinary explorations continuing in the privacy of his kitchen. One evening, as they savored a dessert of Max's creation, a delicate lavender creme brulee with a hint of stardust, or at least edible glitter, Ilara set down her spoon with a look of determination. "Max," she began, her voice carrying a weight that immediately caught his attention, "we've received communication from our homeworld. The High Council of Celestial Harmony has been monitoring our interactions here on Earth." Max felt a flutter of nervousness in his stomach. "Oh, and what do they think?" Nova's silver hair shimmered as she leaned forward. "They're fascinated, Max. The way you've used culinary arts to foster understanding between our peoples, it's unprecedented in our galactic records." "Which brings us to our proposal," Lyra added, her indigo eyes intense. "The High Council wishes to extend an formal invitation. They want you to bring your culinary diplomacy to the stars." Max blinked, trying to process their words. "You mean, leave Earth? Travel to other planets?" Ilara nodded, a smile playing at her lips. "Not just other planets, Max. Entire galaxies. There are civilizations out there locked in conflicts that have lasted millennia. Beings so different from each other that they've never found common ground. The Council believes that your unique approach could be the key to fostering peace and understanding across the cosmos." Max's mind reeled at the implications. "But I'm just one chef. How could I possibly make a difference on that scale?" "You've already proven that a single meal can change perspectives," Nova said gently. Imagine what you could do with the resources of an entire intergalactic alliance behind you. As if on cue, a holographic projection sprang to life in the center of the room. Max gasped as he saw images of worlds beyond his wildest imagination, crystal cities floating in gas giants, underwater civilizations illuminated by bioluminescent life forms, beings of pure energy gathered around what looked like a stellar nursery. These are just a few of the places you could visit, Lyra explained, each with their own unique cultures, ingredients, and culinary traditions. You wouldn't just be sharing Earth's cuisine, Max. You'd be learning and evolving, creating new dishes that could quite literally unite worlds. Max's chef's mind instantly began racing with possibilities. Spices that could alter the perception of time, fruits that sang as they ripened, herbs that communicated emotions directly to the diner's brain. The culinary frontier suddenly seemed infinite. But as exciting as the prospect was, a pang of anxiety shot through him. It's incredible. But what about Earth? My restaurant, my family, my whole life is here. Ilara's expression softened. We understand, Max. This isn't a decision to be made lightly. The journey we're proposing would last several of your Earth years. But think of the impact you could have, the lessons you could bring back to your own world. And of course, Nova added with a twinkle in her eye, we would be with you every step of the way. As your guides, your support, and perhaps, if you're open to it, something more. Max felt his cheeks flush, remembering the intense connection he'd felt with the three aliens since that first shared meal. There was an undeniable pull there, a chemistry that transcended species. I need some time to think about this, Max said, his voice barely above a whisper. Of course, Ilara nodded. This is a monumental decision. Take all the time you need, but know that whatever you choose, you've already changed the course of intergalactic relations. Your legacy as a culinary diplomat is secure. As the aliens bid him good night, Max found himself alone in his kitchen, surrounded by the familiar tools of his trade. He ran his hand along the worn wooden handle of his favorite knife, feeling the weight of it, the weight of Earth, of home. But when he closed his eyes, he saw flashes of alien worlds, of new flavors and textures waiting to be discovered. He imagined the dishes he could create, the connections he could forge. For the first time in years, he felt that spark of true inspiration, the call of the unknown that had first driven him to become a chef. Max knew that the decision ahead of him would change not just his life, but potentially the course of human history. As he began absent-mindedly chopping vegetables, his go-to method for clearing his mind, he realized that his next culinary creation might be his most important yet, a future that bridged the gap between Earth and the stars. Little did Max know, as he wrestled with this monumental choice, that forces beyond his control were already in motion. His small-town culinary adventure was about to become a global phenomenon, and the eyes of the world, both human and alien, were turning towards Nova Vista. The stage was set for a cosmic showdown, with Max's kitchen at the very center of it all. And as the first light of dawn broke over the horizon, the chef found himself standing at the crossroads of humanity's next great leap into the unknown. The question was, did he have the courage to take that leap? The morning sun had barely crested the horizon when Max's phone began buzzing incessantly. Bleary-eyed, he fumbled for the device, only to be greeted by a barrage of notifications. News alerts, missed calls, text messages, all clamoring for his attention. With a groan, Max swiped open the first news article and felt his stomach drop. The headlines screamed, Extraterrestrial USIVE, Alien Council offers Earth Chef Intergalactic Mission. Oh no, Max muttered, scrolling frantically through the story. Somehow, word of the High Council's offer had leaked. The article was filled with speculation about the nature of the mission, potential alien technologies that might be shared, and the implications for Earth's place in the cosmos. As Max struggled to process the situation, a sharp knock at his door made him jump. He opened it to find Agent Reyes, looking even more serious than usual. "Mr. Hartley," she said curtly, "we need to talk." Within minutes, Max found himself in a makeshift command center that had been set up in a nearby hotel. Screens displayed news broadcasts from around the world, all focused on the alien offer and its potential ramifications. The president's face appeared on the main screen, her expression grave. "Mr. Hartley, I hope you understand the gravity of this situation. Your culinary diplomacy has unexpectedly placed Earth at the center of an intergalactic stage." Max swallowed hard. "Madam President, I swear, I didn't leak any information about the offer." She waved off his concern. "That's not the issue right now. What we need to know is, are you considering accepting?" Before Max could respond, another voice cut in. "With all due respect, Madam President, that decision shouldn't be left to a single individual, no matter how talented a chef he may be." Max turned to see Dr. Elena Rodriguez, a renowned astrophysicist, striding into the room. "This is a matter of global importance," she continued. "The scientific advancements we could gain from this mission are incalculable. We need a team of experts, not just a cook." Max felt a flash of indignation, but before he could retort, another voice joined the fray. "And what about the potential threats?" This came from General Marcus Stone, his uniform adorned with an impressive array of medals. "We know nothing about these aliens' true intentions. For all we know, this could be an elaborate trap to gather intelligence on Earth." The room erupted into a cacophony of arguments, with various experts and officials weighing in on the risks and opportunities presented by the alien offer. Max stood in the midst of it all, feeling increasingly overwhelmed. "Enough." The president's voice cut through the chaos. "Mr. Hartley, while I understand this offer was made to you personally, I hope you recognize that your decision will impact the entire planet. We need time to discuss this at the highest levels of government. In the meantime, I'm asking you to refrain from giving the aliens an answer." Max nodded numbly, his mind reeling. As he was escorted back to his apartment, he couldn't help but feel that his life had spiraled completely out of control. Over the next few days, Nova Vista became the epicenter of a global frenzy. News vans clogged the streets, reporters camped out in front of Cosmic Crust, and seemingly everyone had an opinion on whether Max should accept the alien offer. Protesters gathered in the town square, their signs reflecting the deep divide in public opinion. "Send Max to the stars." Read one, while another proclaimed Earth first, no alien alliances. Max watched it all unfold from the relative safety of his apartment, where he'd been placed under protective custody for his own safety. Ilara, Nova, and Lyra had been sequestered as well, whisked away to a secure government facility for diplomatic talks. As he mindlessly chopped vegetables, his go-to stress relief, Max's phone buzzed with a message from an unknown number. His heart skipped a beat as he read it. "Max, it's Ilara. We've managed to secure this communication channel briefly. Are you all right? We're so sorry for the chaos this has caused. Please know that our offer still stands, but we would never want to pressure you or cause conflict on your world. Whatever you decide, know that you've already changed the course of intergalactic relations for the better. Stay strong, Earth friend." Max felt a lump form in his throat. Despite the madness swirling around him, Ilara's words grounded him, reminding him of the incredible connection he'd formed with the alien visitors. Just then, another knock at the door startled him. This time, it was Dr. Rodriguez, the astrophysicist from the briefing. "Mr. Hartley," she began, her tone softer than before, "I owe you an apology. I was dismissive of your role in all this, and that was unfair. The truth is, you've accomplished something remarkable, something that all our scientific knowledge and diplomatic efforts couldn't achieve." Max blinked in surprise. "I thank you, Dr. Rodriguez, but I'm just a chef who got lucky." She shook her head. "No, Mr. Hartley, you're a pioneer, and that's why I'm here. A group of us, scientists, diplomats, cultural experts, we've been discussing the alien offer. We think you should accept it." Max's jaw dropped. "But what about all the risks, the unknowns?" "There will always be risks in exploration," Dr. Rodriguez said with a smile. But the potential benefits, not just scientific, but cultural, philosophical, they're too great to ignore. We're proposing a compromise. Accept the offer, but not as an individual. Go as the head of an Earth delegation, a team of experts to support you, learn alongside you, and ensure that the knowledge you gain is shared with all of humanity. Max's mind raced with the possibilities. A chance to explore the cosmos, to learn from countless alien cultures, all while sharing the universal language of food. It was everything he'd ever dreamed of and more. But as he opened his mouth to respond, another thought struck him. This wasn't just about his dreams anymore. It was about the future of humanity, about Earth's first steps into a larger cosmic community. I need to think about this, Max said finally. Not just for me, but for everyone. Dr. Rodriguez nodded understanding. Of course, but don't take too long. The world is watching, Mr. Hartley, and the universe is waiting. As she left, Max turned back to his kitchen, his sanctuary in the midst of this cosmic storm. He picked up his knife, feeling its familiar weight in his hand. With each chop of the vegetables, each sizzle in the pan, he felt his thoughts clarify. He was just a chef from a small coastal town, but somehow, improbably, he'd become Earth's unlikely ambassador to the stars. As the aroma of his cooking filled the apartment, Max realized that his next move wouldn't just change his life, it would change history. The question was he ready to take that leap into the unknown? And if he did, what wonders and what dangers awaited him among the stars? As the sun dipped below the horizon, painting the sky in hues of orange and purple, Max stood at the window of his apartment, gazing out at the town he called home for so long. Nova Vista had always been a haven of tranquility for him, but now it buzzed with an energy that was equal parts excitement and tension. He could see the crowd gathered in the town square, their signs and banners a visual representation of the world's divided opinions on the alien offer. Earth's cosmic chef. One proclaimed enthusiastically, while another warned ominously, "Don't trade Earth for stardust." Max sighed, turning away from the window. His apartment, once a cozy retreat, now felt like a gilded cage. Security personnel stationed outside ensured his safety, but also served as a constant reminder of how much his life had changed. As he moved to the kitchen, his true sanctuary, Max's eyes fell on a framed photo on the counter. It showed him as a young boy, standing proudly next to his grandmother in her small, homey kitchen. He picked it up, a wave of nostalgia washing over him. "What would you think of all this, Nana?" he murmured, tracing her smiling face with his finger. It was in that very kitchen that his love for cooking had been born. His grandmother had taught him that food was more than sustenance. It was a way to bring people together, to comfort, to celebrate, to heal. Now he was faced with the opportunity to take that lesson to the stars, to use food as a bridge between worlds, a universal language that could foster understanding across the cosmos. It was a chef's dream come true, a chance to create dishes with ingredients beyond imagination, to learn techniques that defied Earth's physics. But as he set the photo down, doubt crept in. What about the risks? The unknown dangers lurking in the depths of space, and even if it was safe, could he really leave behind everything and everyone he'd ever known? Max's reverie was interrupted by a gentle knock at the door. He'd opened it to find Jenny, his sous chef from Cosmic Crust, standing there with a concerned expression. "Hey, boss," she said softly. "Thought you could use some company, and maybe a taste tester." She held up a bag that emanated enticing aromas. Max felt a rush of gratitude as he ushered her in. Soon they were seated at his small dining table, a spread of Jenny's creations before them, comfort foods from Cosmic Crust's menu, each dish a reminder of the life he'd built here. As they ate, Jenny watched him carefully. "So," she finally said, "are you really thinking about going? To space, I mean?" Max put down his fork, considering his words carefully. "I'd be lying if I said I wasn't tempted. The things I could learn, the flavors I could discover, it's beyond anything I ever dreamed of." Jenny nodded, understanding in her eyes. But, Max continued, "It's not just about me anymore. This decision, it affects everyone. Earth, our place in the universe. It's a lot of pressure." "Maybe," Jenny said thoughtfully, "that's exactly why it should be you." Max looked at her, surprised. "What do you mean?" "Look, boss, I've worked with you for years. I've seen how you can take the most diverse, clashing ingredients and create something harmonious. You don't just cook, you bring people together. If anyone can represent Earth out there, it's you." Her words touched something deep in Max, a reminder of why he'd fallen in love with cooking in the first place. But before he could respond, his phone buzzed with an incoming video call. It was his parents. With a deep breath, Max answered. His mother's worried face filled the screen. "Max, honey, are you okay? We've been trying to reach you for days." "I'm fine, Mom," Max assured her, feeling a pang of guilt for not contacting them sooner. It's just been a lot to process. His father's face appeared next to his mother's. "Son, we want you to know, whatever you decide, we're proud of you. But please, think carefully. This isn't just about cooking anymore." Max nodded, feeling the weight of their concern. "I know, Dad. Believe me, I'm thinking about nothing else." As the call ended, Max felt more torn than ever. His parents' love and worry, Jenny's faith in him, the expectations of the world, it all swirled in his mind, a recipe with no clear outcome. He stood, moving back to the kitchen almost on autopilot. His hands reached for ingredients: flour, eggs, olive oil. As he began to knead dough for pasta, the repetitive motion soothing his frayed nerves, Max realized he was recreating his grandmother's recipe for ravioli, the very first dish she taught him to make. As he worked, memories flooded back. His grandmother's patient guidance, the joy on her face when he'd mastered a technique, the way she'd always said, "Cooking is love made visible, Max. Never forget that." Suddenly, clarity began to emerge, like flavors melding in a well-simmered sauce. Yes, this decision was bigger than him. Yes, there were risks, unknowns, potential dangers. But wasn't that true of any great endeavor? He thought of the first explorers who'd set sail across vast oceans, of the pioneers who'd ventured into the American West, of the astronauts who'd first stepped on the moon. They'd all faced fear, uncertainty, the possibility of failure. But they'd gone anyway, driven by curiosity, by the desire to expand human knowledge and connection. As the rich aroma of the cooking ravioli filled his kitchen, Max felt a sense of peace settle over him. He realized that his entire life, every recipe mastered, every connection made over a shared meal, had been preparing him for this moment. He was a chef, yes, but he was also an explorer, a diplomat, a bridge builder. And now, the universe was his kitchen, waiting for him to create something extraordinary. With steady hands, Max plated the ravioli, garnishing it with a sprinkle of herbs. He took a bite, savoring the familiar flavors that spoke of home, of family, of love. And in that moment he knew. It was time to take the biggest leap of his life, to carry the flavors of Earth to the stars, and to bring back a feast of cosmic proportions. Max Hartley, the reluctant cosmic chef, was ready to answer the call of the universe. All he needed now was the right recipe to announce his decision to the world. As the first light of dawn broke over Nova Vista, Max began to plan the most important meal of his life, one that would mark the beginning of humanity's greatest culinary adventure. The early morning light filtered through the windows of cosmic crust as Max stood in his kitchen, surrounded by an array of ingredients both familiar and exotic. The restaurant was closed to the public, transformed into a staging ground for what he hoped would be a historic moment. He'd spent the night preparing, his mind and hands working in perfect harmony as he crafted a menu that would serve as both his answer to the alien offer and a bridge between Earth and the stars. Each dish was a carefully considered statement, a representation of humanity's diversity, resilience, and potential. As he put the finishing touches on his creations, Max heard the murmur of voices outside. He peered through the window to see a gathering crowd, journalists, government officials, curious locals, And yes, Elara, Nova, and Lyra, their otherworldly presence drawing every eye. A gentle hand on his shoulder made him turn. Jenny stood there, along with the rest of his kitchen staff, all dressed in their chef whites. "We're with you, boss," she said, her eyes shining with a mixture of pride and excitement. "Whatever happens next." Max felt a lump form in his throat. "Thank you," he managed, looking at each of them in turn. "I couldn't have asked for a better team." With a deep breath, Max straightened his chest jacket and nodded to Jenny. She opened the doors and the world poured in. The next hour was a blur of activity as everyone settled into place. The aliens were seated at the center table, flanked by government officials, scientists, and cultural attaches. Cameras flashed and reporters jostled for position as Max emerged from the kitchen, pushing a cart laden with covered dishes. He stood before the assembled crowd, acutely aware of the gravity of the moment. This wasn't just about him anymore. It was about Earth's first steps into a larger cosmic community. "Ladies and gentlemen, honored guests," Max began, his voice steady despite the butterflies in his stomach. "Today, we stand on the brink of a new frontier. Not just for me, or for this town, but for all of humanity. The universe has invited us to the table, and it's time for us to bring our best dishes." He unveiled the first plate, a deconstructed sushi roll that incorporated elements from cuisines around the world. "This represents our planet's diversity," Max explained. "Different cultures, different traditions, all coming together to create something beautiful and harmonious." As he presented each dish, Max wove a story of Earth's history, its challenges, its triumphs. A soup made from ancient grains spoke of human perseverance. A fusion dessert combining techniques from molecular astronomy with traditional recipes represented the blend of innovation and tradition. Finally, Max came to the last dish. With a flourish, he lifted the cover to reveal what looked like a miniature garden. Edible soil, made from crushed cookies and nuts cradled vibrant vegetables and herbs. At the center stood a delicate sugar sculpture in the shape of a sprouting seedling, its translucent leaves reaching upward. "This," Max said, his voice thick with emotion, "represents our readiness to grow beyond our world, to plant the seeds of humanity among the stars, while always remembering our roots." He turned to face Elara, Nova, and Lyra directly. "I accept your offer," he declared, his voice ringing clear through the hushed restaurant. "Not just for myself, but as a representative of Earth. We're ready to join the galactic community, to learn, to share, and yes, to cook for the cosmos." The room erupted in a mixture of cheers, gasps, and the furious clicking of cameras. But Max only had eyes for the three aliens. Elara stood, her starlight hair shimmering with emotion. "Max Hartley of Earth," she said, her musical voice carrying easily over the din, "you honor us with your acceptance. Your cuisine has shown us the very soul of your world, and we are humbled by its beauty and complexity." As the implications